Assalamualaikum everyone! Welcome to my channel. My name is Sam. Today I thought I would bring back the Tea Talk series because it's like a really nice way for us to just sit down and have a little chat, drink a little tea, and spill a little tea. I'm gonna be talking a lot of truth about my first year of marriage. Alhamdulillah, I have been married for over 2 years now, but let me tell you that the first year of marriage in comparison to my second year, basically it's very different, alright? Your first year of marriage has to be like the most challenging one because there's like this huge transition period that I don't think a lot of people talk about. So in today's Tea Talk, that is exactly what we are going to talk about. So get yourself a drink or make yourself a drink, get yourself a snack, and let's go ahead and chat. So I'm kind of cheating. I know it's a tea talk, but it is 6 p.m. right now and I am such a grandma, so I need coffee to give me that energy, so let's just pretend that this is tea. So just a little background about my husband and I. We met when I was actually 16. This was before everything, before the conversion. I wasn't even in university yet. We were just a bunch of kids. So it was a very long time ago, and we started off as friends. We were very close friends, and we spent like every waking hour together, and even when we got together, that was the case, of course, or even more because we're together. But anyways, basically we have been together for a very long time. It's gonna be like a decade at the end of this year, in December, alhamdulillah. But we have again only been married for two and a bit years. I'm actually so bad with dates and anniversaries. So we were together for 7 years before we got married, and in that 7 years, you know, it was a whole host of things. You know, I continuously fell deeper and deeper in love with my husband, and I also fell in love with Islam in the process, and I also wanted to finish my university and also my postgrad before I got married. So it was a total of like 7 years before we finally tied the knot. You would think because of all of the things that's going on with us, the 7 years we got to know each other, and then all of the obstacles we went through to be where we're at, that there wouldn't be that big of a change. But let me tell you, honey, it is very different being someone's girlfriend or fiance to being their wife. I'm gonna drink to that real quick. Okay, so first things first, you got married, you went on your lovely relaxing honeymoon in a nice holiday and everything like that. And in my opinion, like the whole marriage situation hits you like a train as soon as you move into your house. It all starts when all your stuff gets delivered to your house, and then you both realize how much stuff both of you have. It's one thing packing everything, but once it's all arrived in the space that both of you are gonna live at, it's a whole different story. Because if you think about it, like, it's two people's lives being squeezed into one space, you know what I mean? But it's also a little poetic because you are making space for someone you love to enter your life, you know what I mean? But it's definitely like a bit of a compromise because, you know, when you're in your own space, you're used to like it just being your things, and like you know exactly where everything is and how you like it positioned because it works for you. But when you move into a space with someone else, aka your husband or your wife, you gotta accommodate for both of you now. I will say that shopping for furniture is probably the most fun thing ever. Like, I absolutely loved filling my home with like little decor and the furniture and all that kind of stuff. I am blessed that my husband is actually really interested in those things as well. We would spend hours just finding like nice pieces to put into our home and make it more of a home, you know what I mean? There's definitely a learning curve to that as well. We first started buying our stuff from like department stores, and then we realized how freaking expensive they are, and then we found Kmart, which is like a heaven sent. I still remember I went to Mayer, I can't ever say that word properly. It's a department store in Australia. We went there and we bought this like nice glass kettle, and it was like $80. And we went to Kmart and we saw like something that looked exactly like that kettle. Like, at the end of the day, it's just gonna boil water, right? So if it does that job, it does that job. But the one in Kmart was like 20 bucks, I think, 20 or $15. But basically we learned our lesson even just from that like one experience. So we started shopping at Kmart and we got all this beautiful decor and stuff like that, and we started filling our home. I'm pretty sure I vlogged that, so if you want to see like a video of us moving into our first home, I'll link it down below. So moving on to number 2, because you are sharing the same space and are usually together for long hours in the day or at night, it's never just going to be like cutesy little bathroom breaks that's gonna go on. It's not always gonna be a pretty little number 1, if you know what I mean. I need to stop saying that. I know you guys know what I mean. But basically, everyone poops, everyone pees, and everyone farts. I know this is an embarrassing topic to talk about, but this is low-key like one of those things that everyone is afraid of, especially when they like move into a house or an apartment with their other half. First thing to remember is, of course, everyone does it. It's a natural thing. Even though it's not the most pleasant thing or the most pleasant smelling thing, it's natural. The best thing you can do is to always make sure to clean up after yourself in order to make the whole like living together experience pleasant. In my case, I grew up with brothers, so the whole like poop thing isn't like a big deal for me. If you guys really want to know, me and Tanzim like hype each other up when we're about to do it, because I have no idea. We just turn into like 12-year-old boys for some reason when it's time to do number 2. I've seen other people's videos regarding this topic, and with the whole like farting issue, like they always talk about how like after a month everyone just gets used to it. It's not an embarrassing thing anymore. But for me, for moi, it's just something I can never get comfortable with. That's not the case for Tanzim though, he farts all the time, but in my case, like I just can't do it. Like it's not even just with Tanzim, I just can't do it around anybody. Like I don't do it around my mom or my dad, my family or anything like that, even when I was a kid. Like it's just something that I just can't do. Minus my little sister, it's like a weird joke that we have. But yes, again, the best advice I could give you for that is to basically just clean up after yourself in order to make it a pleasant experience. The next thing is culture and family. Now, if you have seen me and my husband, we obviously come from different cultures. We technically both come from Asia, so it's not exactly like a different race, but the culture is completely different. So I am pure Filipino. I have Chinese somewhere in my blood, but it's never really a culture that I like immerse myself in, because I think we're like 1/16 Chinese or something like that. My cousin says it's 1/8, but that means my great grandparents would be Chinese, and I don't think they were Chinese. For those who don't know, that makes me Southeast Asian. My husband, on the other hand, is Bengali. He comes from Bangladesh, and that makes him South Asian. So South Asian culture and Southeast Asian culture is very, very different. My husband is very, very picky when it comes to food, so he unfortunately does not even like eat a lot of his own traditional foods. So I didn't really have to learn how to make like a lot of the dishes. I know how to make some, and the some that I know are the ones that he only eats. I, on the other hand, absolutely love Bengali food. Like it is so freaking good. My favorite is Juragosh. That stuff is just magical. I could eat like a whole pot of that stuff with the what is it called? Borhani, correct me if I'm saying that wrong, but I love those two together, and then eating it with paratha. That's my absolute favorite. During my first Eid al-Adha with my in-laws, I actually got really, really sick because I ate too much of that stuff. Like I had it for breakfast, lunch, dinner for like weeks, and yeah. Well, that was a lot of beef and a lot of cholesterol and a lot of weight. Of course, there's a transition period when it comes to your in-laws. You're not just marrying the person, you're also marrying the entire family. So it's very, very important to get along with everybody. In saying that, of course, you have to remember that you cannot please everybody. You don't have to change yourself completely in order to fit into his family or her family or anything like that. Just stay true to yourself. Find a middle ground where all of you are happy and stick to that. It's super duper common to try and impress your in-laws, and sometimes we go a little overboard and like, you know, change ourselves in order to please them and things like that. If you like that change, if you approve of that change, then that's okay. But if you're doing it solely to impress someone and it's not really you, then there's a problem, obviously. Because at one point it's going to be unpleasant for you because you don't actually like it and you're just doing it for someone else, and then you're gonna end up like resenting that someone else, even though it's not their fault because you're the one who chose to try and impress them. So keep that in mind, but also be open to what your in-laws like. It may not be something that you've done before, so you won't actually know if you like it until you try it. And also, of course, these things need to be reciprocated. You know what I mean? It can't just be you making all the sacrifices and them just, you know, gaining all the, you know, acceptance and all that kind of stuff. It needs to be a two-way street. So you need to tell them about your likes and interests and get them to try it and stuff like that as well. If they don't like it, then they don't like it. If they do like it, then great. There's so many aspects about the whole in-law situation that could be a whole video of its own, but generally just be yourself. Be open to different things, let them be themselves, and inshallah they're also open to other things as well, and then find a middle ground where everyone is happy and then go on from there. Last and definitely not the least is to do with arguments and mood swings, because you guys are going to be living together. You know, sometimes not every day is going to be the same. Sometimes you're just really angry, you had a bad day, and you just want to go home and curl up in your bed and just sleep. I was gonna say die, but that's a little dramatic. Astaghfirullah, but you know what I mean? Like, you're just not in the mood. But because of course when you're married, you are going to be sharing that space with your spouse, and you're going to be coming home to someone. And my best advice is, and I know it's hard, but try not to bring that kind of stuff into your home, because your spouse didn't do anything, you had a bad day. So try and like separate that. And I know it's not like the easiest thing to do. I'm definitely like, I've done it a bajillion times. I've taken it out on my husband, my poor husband. But of course, just be considerate. Like, okay, you had a bad day, but imagine if your spouse was like, you know, they had a long day at work as well, and all they want to do is like see you and hug you and, you know, love you and stuff like that, and then you come home and you're like grumpy and you don't want to talk to them and stuff like that. Like, it's not nice. Of course, arguments are gonna happen though, regardless of what you do. We are just human. We feel a lot sometimes, a little too much sometimes, and arguments do happen. But my number one advice to you guys is to never go to sleep mad at each other. Regardless of how bad the situation is and how bad you think you are, like, try not to go to sleep angry and try to resolve whatever issue it is before going to sleep. Honestly, life is too short. We are all mortal, and you know, you have your right to feel and, you know, to, you know, recognize your emotions and things like that, but don't let it dwell on too long. The last thing you want is to go to sleep angry at your spouse, and then for all you know, that was actually your last moment with them. I know that sounds dramatic, but it's true. Like, tomorrow is not promised to us, to none of us. We don't know what's gonna happen to us tomorrow. We could still be here, or we could be, you know, in the grave. Life is short. Life is so short, you guys, and petty fights like this, because you will have a lot of petty fights in your first year of marriage. Let me tell you that has to be like the biggest thing. Like, if we look back into like our first year of marriage, like, I just have so many like petty fights with my husband that I don't even know why we did that. Again, I think it's more of just the whole like adaptation thing of like being in each other's space and all that kind of stuff, and adapting to that, and the whole transition period of that, and it causes a lot of petty fights that are stupid. And if you look back now, like, maybe at the time there's a lot of emotions into it, you're very mad, and you think this is like the worst thing ever. Sometimes you'll look back 1 month, 1 year, 10 years from now and just laugh at that argument because it's so stupid now. But of course, if it's like a serious issue and it's like very serious for you, don't downplay that either, because marriage is based on trust, it's based on communication, and that should be the foundation of your marriage. Don't just expect for the other person to know how you're feeling, like, oh, they gotta know because they're married to me and stuff like that. It's nothing like that at all. We are not mind readers, and we can't always guess correctly. So just to avoid arguments and things like that, just be open. Don't play no games. We are all too old to play games. Just be open, be considerate, and be respectful. Alright, so before this video becomes like 10 billion hours long, I will cut it here. Thank you guys so much for watching. I do hope you enjoyed this video, and if you found it helpful and you learned something, don't forget to click the like button and subscribe for more videos like this. It's my first day of second year in med tomorrow, so please pray for me. I will be vlogging my first week. I'm gonna try and make like weekly vlogs, because I don't think enough goes on in like one day for me to make like daily vlogs, nor do I have the time to edit every single day. So I'm gonna try to make it like a weekly thing, so be sure to stay for that. Subscribe so that you get notified when I do put up those vlogs. I am getting so tongue-tied now, so I'm gonna go. Thank you guys so much for watching, and inshallah I see you here soon. Bye guys!